This week, I decided to look at unconditional love and the language we use, and the language of religiosity and spirituality and our culture, and how it can help us heal, and how it wounds us over and over again. And the reason I chose this is because this week I was triggered again. Not unusual. I heard a phrase that pokes me. Now I get poked and I'm going, oh, it can go right through, but boy, that still was a poke, even though I'm no longer reacting to it in the way that I used to. The phrase was uttered by a well-meaning human service professional in a therapeutic setting. She said she was so happy to see me and my dog because dogs provide unconditional love. No, they don't. They don't. And it pokes me every time I hear it. In fact, as a student a long time ago, pre-seminary, behaviorist, God wrestling seriously, I wrote a very snarky paper entitled The Fallacy of Unconditional Love as it relates to the human-animal bond. And I spelled it P-H. It was food. And probably rightly so. Luckily those were the days of floppy disks and there's no hot coffee. But why was I so triggered? Why was I so triggered? I was so triggered because I'd already had this experience. What do you say to a child who has 48 stitches in their face from the family's golden retriever while the mother is crying, "They told me Goldens were good with children. Pets are supposed to provide unconditional love." So she's sitting there feeling that she must be the embodiment of unconditional love because that is what we've given to a mother to be, right? Mother's unconditional love. And she's failed. And I have a child there who's got 48 stitches in their face. And what is their feeling? Am I unworthy of unconditional love? Yeah. We have to sit with the stories at all, not the stories that suppress and make us feel nice and tiny and tucked away. What do you say to the woman who bursts into hysterical screams at the sight of you and your shepherd mix? As you tell her, there's a therapist there. Lovely, lovely woman. I really like this woman. She's bubbly, she's hot. She comes in and she says, "Pet the dog. It'll help with your depression. Come on, pet the dog, pet the dog." You know, because pets provide unconditional love. And she is in the throes of screaming worse and worse because she was raped by a man in a uniform, and a German shepherd, his canine, was there keeping her from moving the entire time. She did not feel in any way, shape, or form unconditionally loved. And yes, I was wearing a uniform at the time. So yes, I was part of that traumatic event. Re-traumatizing. The grace is that after the initial discovery, which was horribly, unnecessarily exposed, she was able, with tender, steady, skillful work on her part and the part of a team of professional therapists, to open the doors once again to allowing herself to feel unconditional love. And that's the key. It's not whether or not someone gives unconditional love. It's whether or not we can receive unconditional love. The language of faith, religion, and spirituality has been deeply complicit in how we can even discuss unconditional love, as well as impacting how we're able to access those feelings of being unconditionally loved. At its best, religion can be described as reaching for ultimate regard and meaning. Alfred North Whitehead, thank you, New Library, has written, quote, "Religion is the vision of something which stands beyond, behind, and within the passive flux of immediate things. Something which is real and yet waiting to be realized. Something which is as a remote possibility, and yet the greatest of present facts. Something that gives meaning to all that passes, and yet eludes apprehension. Something whose possession is final good, and yet is beyond reach. Something which is the ultimate ideal and the the hopeless quest. That's religion at its best. At its worst, it becomes what Christian religion states in God is not great, how religion poisons everything. Quote, God did not create man in his own image. Evidently, it was quite the other way around, which is the painless explanation for the profusion of gods and religions and the fratricide both between and among faiths that we see all about us and that has so retarded the development of civilization. But the reality is that we live in the spaces between both of these truths. We are all reaching for meaning and belonging using the tools that we have, hopefully learning how to make new tools and use them. In the cloud of unknowing, an anonymous Christian mystic writes, at the end of the 1300s, nobody's mind is powerful enough to grasp who, or what, or how God is. We can only know by experiencing love. She, he, anonymous then goes on. Every look, every rational creature, every person, every angel has two main strengths, the power to know and the power to love. God made both of these, but God is not knowable through the first one. To the power of love, however, God is entirely known, because a loving soul is open to receive God's abundance. Having trouble with the nickname? Fill in your own blank. Please fill in your own blank. Unconditional regard, suchness and muchness, God, what that means to you in a holy way. God's very nature makes love endless and miraculous. God never stops loving us. Consider this truth. And if by grace you could make love your own, do. For the experience is eternal joy. Its absence is endless suffering. So however you define what that is, the experience is endless joy. As the Proverbs of Solomon so succinctly puts it, quote, and I love this, I tend to use this in Naka, I like that translation. Translation's better. Quote, hatred arouses quarrels, but love covers all transgressions. It doesn't matter whether those quarrels are within our own souls, or within each other, or out in the world. We are counseled to heal and to mend by and with love. Love covers all transgressions. We are seeking love, and we have heard we're all seeking love. I mean, how many, standing on the side of love is the big banner in the back of this very sanctuary at this very moment. It's where we want to be. All of us at some point have heard the phrase unconditional love, right? Anybody never heard that phrase before? Sharon Salzberg teaches that, quote, when we look past our conditioning, we see that many differences we latch onto are built on social constructs. This, ironically, is true of our concepts of unconditional love. Our concepts of unconditional love are fully conditioned by social, cultural, and historical constructs. How many of you heard the phrase, the unconditional love of a mother?
Yeah.
Everybody, because I just said it in the story. Just, sometimes we plan things on purpose. Or a mother's unconditional love. It's a common phrase. It's printed on cards, Mother's Day cards. It's said in sermons. You get pillows. Nothing is like mugs. It's ubiquitous. In fact, it's a lie. Because I'm going to take a big guess that everybody in this room at some moment has been in the experience of not feeling unconditional love by their mother. And I was loved by my mother, loved deeply, but there is that moment that 3-year-old needs that attention, needs that feeling, and that mother is got another baby on her hip, or she's got a boss that's about to cancel an order, or something else has fit into that immediate moment that has to take priority, and our 3-year-old self has no ability to comprehend that, and in that moment, we are not feeling unconditionally loved, we're feeling abandoned. I'm not talking about abuse, I'm not talking about long-term stuff, I'm talking about the reality of being human in this world. And in that moment, we get to grow. And if that moment is replaced by lots of other moments where we're looked at and just, I look at you and I smile, and I look at you and I smile, and I look at you and I smile, and I look at you and smile, and I look at you and I smile. And in those moments, and all of those moments of unconditional regard outweigh that moment, then we heal from that, and we learn from that experience of how do we share it. But if those moments are abusive, and there's constant neglect, we no longer have the skill set. And then we have wounded people raising wounded people with no access to moments of feeling unconditional. How, when you're a wounded person, can you attach and look for a model? I mean, I'm a mother and I'm supposed to provide unconditional love. And I've just had milk and cereal spread all over my dog for the 28th time, and I've got to get her to work. I'm just tired and I'm exhausted, and of course I love you, but I'm not happy right now. And my religious figures are Mary, Queen of Heaven. Was she ever angry? Yes, actually she was. But really we're not told that story. Parvati, the goddess of love. I mean, could she even run after a toddler in that getup? I don't know. We're provided with solace, but not much practical advice. So, here's the truth. Part of a mother's unconditional love is organic. It comes from the fact that we grew up inside a womb. We developed in a unified field, and ideally, if we're a wanted child, that womb was filled with positive hormones. If we're an aware, in the first world, we have access, that womb is filled with nourishing substances. The environment can be described as unconditioned. It is biologic, fully organic, and then we're born. And in that birth, we are separated from being part of a unified field. We are separated from inside to outside. And so we have this experience of universalism, we've had this experience of unity, and we seek to reconnect with it. It's our earliest neural net memories. You can look at this through the lens of science, you can look at this through the lens of mysticism, you can look through the lens of faith, religion, or spirituality. It is both metaphoric and it's actual. Trouble comes when the mothers internalize the story of unconditional love and don't have access to the tools to be able to experience their own. And that's only half the story. But see, nevertheless, at its core, true, unconditional mother love story is a story of unity, separation, and reconnection. The true mother love unconditional story is unity, separation, and reconnection. And then we have father love. How many of you have heard the phrase, the unconditional love of a father? I got lots of shaking heads. You didn't get the mug? Nobody had the card?
No.
Yeah, what is with that? And it's a real and true thing. I mean, my goodness. I have countless pictures of one perfect man holding one perfect child and just glowing as I was throwing up. Unconditional love. It's hard to find in the literature, and to this day, we don't have it as part of our cultural story. When you look up unconditional father love, you get lots and lots of information. God the Father who loves us unconditionally. But God the Father is distant, not intimate. It's a story of reaching for that which you can never know. And the few religious stories that we have, not so good. I am willing to kill my own child for my father who I cannot have access to, in hopes that that will gain me access to my father. Now, there's lots of exegesis on that story. I'm of course referring to Isaac. But maybe There's another way of looking at that story. Maybe what we're looking at is wounded fathers who didn't have access to feeling unconditional love and didn't know how to express that tenderness. Very few religious stories provide good role models, but at their core, they also reflect a biological and practical truth. The unconditional love of a father is a story of seeking, waiting for the child to be born, seeking and connection, reaching and connecting. So whereas the mother's story is this and this and this, the father's story is this and this and this. Regardless of how you experience gender, both stories are important to our personal and cultural growth because we are all the mothers and fathers of our own inner children. I am a storyteller. We are all mothers. Say it.
We are all mothers.
And we're all fathers. I am a mother. I am a father to my own inner child. And my inner child is a holy child. Practical Sharon Salzberg, because I just really kind of love her. She writes, in Real Love, the Art of Mindful Connection, I see in real love as the most fundamental of our innate capacities. Never destroyed no matter what we have gone through or might yet go through. It might be buried, obscured from view, hard to find, hard to trust, but it is there. She sees real love as our most fundamental of our innate qualities and capacities. And I believe deep within us, each and every one of us has a core of love, and that love is unconditional because it is innate. It is who we essentially are. It is part of our true self, and we seek connection, we seek reconnection, we seek unity, and we seek belonging. Lovely, how do we do it? How do we love unconditionally? Well, we don't. We release that. We let go of that. We start by simply loving. Just love. Loving whatever and whoever has our attention at that moment, at this moment. Recognizing we have no choice but to love with the conditions in this moment. No choice but to love with the culture that we come from. No choice but to love through the wounds that we have received, because that's all that we have available to us in that moment. No choice but to accept a little girl coming off a ferry boat with a small cage filled with nuts and say, yes, I love you. Seek new tools so that you can love deeper and wider. First with conscious effort, because it's not necessarily easy when someone comes up to you with a t-shirt that has a saying on it that makes you want to go. Rather than, hi, my name is. It takes conscious effort to go, I can read your shirt, but I can look at your face. I can see you, and I can risk you seeing me. Conscious effort becomes habitual, but it can only start with honesty. And that's the hard part. Oh, I'll pretend I didn't read your shirt. Hi, my name is Liz, as we're stepping backwards and talking away. No, it comes with honesty. We can't pretend to love. Oh, that's lovely, dear. That's just lovely. Bless your heart. We cannot pretend to love anymore. We have to really love. Commit to it, finding it in the darkest moments. It is always there because love is generous. We must be generous with it. I'm not talking about simple positivism. It's not saying words of love because we know that fails. Saying words of love is not connected to the feeling, and love doesn't come from here. It comes from here. It's doing the actions of love. Love is a verb. It's not an idea, it's not an emotion. And we have a playbook that I have read at many funerals and many weddings and one christening ceremony. That you know because it too is on mugs and needle pointed, but I'm going to read it again Because sometimes we want to hold on to the past when it was righteous. Corinthians 13. If I speak in the tongues of men or angels but do not have love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and I have a faith that can move mountains, but I do not have love, I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and give over my body to hardship so that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no records of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices in truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. But where there are prophecies, they will cease. Where there are tongues, they will be stilled. Where there is knowledge, it will pass away. For we know in part and prophecy in part. When completeness comes, what is part disappears. When I was a child, I talked like a child. I gave gifts like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. But when I became a man, I put away the ways of childhood behind me. For now we see only a reflection as in a mirror. Then we shall see face to face. Face to face. Now I know in part. I will know in full, even as I am fully known. And now these three remain: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. We have the manuals. We have to stop reading the textbooks. We have to go out there